You can do them just on their own, or you can do them back to back for a much deeper practice. This is the first part. I invite you to practice this one as many times as necessary until you feel comfortable, to then move on to maybe the second and then eventually the third. It'll be really useful if you have yourself a brick and some kind of strap to use. If you don't have a brick, you can just use a buck, that's fine. And if you don't have a belt, you can just use kind of like a tie or anything, just long, that's useful. This one's going to focus mostly on conditioning of your hamstrings, your glutes, and your abs, which is really important for safe, deep back bending. We'll work through strengthening these parts, and then we'll do a little bit of opening of the body before we move into a more dynamic practice. So start yourself on your mat in a bridge position with the back imprinted onto the mat. Then your sacrum, so the triangular kind of bone at the base of your spine, your left foot, extend your right leg. And then lift up, and then the same as before, just continue to roll up and down through your spine. So here it will be a little more difficult to keep your hips square. You'll probably start to lean into the left side more and drop the right hip. So use, to the best of your capacity, still your adductors as if they were pulling towards one another, almost as if they were still squeezing that brick even though one is lifted. So this energetic pull towards the central axis of the spine. You want to firmly ground down through Padabandha, the left foot. And continue to feel this lightness as you use the breath to lift all the way up. And as you come up, hold at the top, lift even higher, and then flex the top foot, kick the heel towards the ceiling, extend through the Achilles heel, lift the right hip to meet the left, kick down into the left heel, and then keeping the legs straight, kick your right heel forward. 1, drop onto the left heel, drop your right foot to meet the left, roll down through your back. Take a breath, soften at the bottom. Take an inhale, broaden into the back body. Then as you exhale, melt down into the space that you've created. And then press down into the heels, roll it through your spine, come back up to the top. We'll do the other side. This time press into your right foot, extend your left leg high. Good. Really energetically pull the leg up and then roll down through your back. And then continue like this. Gently roll all the way down through the spine, vertebrae by vertebrae, almost as though you could independently separate every vertebrae of your spine and instead breathe into the fibers between. Good, take a breath. Then just drop your knees over to the right, look over your left arm. Good. And then as you drop the legs over to the right, think about extending your left knee on top of the right firmly. So sometimes the knees come unaligned and we twist from the pelvis rather than your spine. The interface of your muscle walls hug down to the back body. Now, without changing the angle of your knees, use the hip flexor and the abdomen, take the arms back and the legs forwards. Contract. Good, and then inhale. And then continue. We'll do 9 more like this. Good, 9. Really keep the belly contracted. You just have to use your mind. Good, squeeze. Come back to the center. And then let it go. Done. Free. Let the legs go, let the arms go. Just take a breath. You can just kind of stretch yourself nice and wide as if it's kind of the first thing in the morning. And then bend your knees. We'll just stretch our hips. We'll come into a supported bridge. Again, if you don't have a brick at home that you're practicing with, that's absolutely fine. You just can hold yourself up in bridge. You know, you can bring your arms underneath you instead and interlace the fingers, or just hold yourself. Obviously, with the brick, it just means you have to work a little less. That's sometimes quite nice. Just take a few breaths just to allow yourself to reground and let everything just kind of pull back into the central line of your body. Okay, just take a few more breaths. Then just press into your heels, lift your hips, and then roll all the way down. So walls pulling back towards the spine. So there's almost like a vacuum sensation in the front of the abdomen, like a hollow sensation. And then feel this stacking of the vertebrae, and then a growing sensation through the crown of the head, so that the head is directly on the apex of the neck. Maybe it needs to lean back a little bit more than you think. Good, perfect. And then with a softness to your mouth, you still stretch through the right, even though you're stretching the left more. And then drop your right ear to the right shoulder. Take your left arm back and then flex the wrist. Really press the wrist away. And the more that you can slide the left shoulder back and away, the more you should get into the left side of your neck. Take one more big breath. Contract your belly, come to the center. Hold the flesh of your hips down. Keep the shoulders in line. And then again, draw the front of the muscle wall to the back of the spine. So it's like you're almost like sandwiching yourself closely to the back body. Drop your left ear to your left shoulder. And then extend your right arm away and flex the wrist. And the more that you can flex the wrist away from the apex of the forearm, the deeper the stretch will be. And take one more big breath. And then come back to the center. Bring the thumbs at the heart center. And as you inhale, extend your arms high. Then as you exhale, squeeze your elbows firmly in towards your intercostals, in towards the side waist. Squeeze them nice and deeply so you feel your shoulder heads roll down. And then as you exhale, round. Elbows and index fingers touch all the way. Find this puffiness in the back body. Make this the last one. Good. And then slowly bring yourself forwards into a tabletop position. Bring your wrists underneath your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips, and then move through cat-cow. As you inhale, arch your back, anterior tilt. Then as you exhale, roll the flesh of your biceps back round through your back body and really pull the tailbone down and hollow the belly. Good. Inhale, look forwards. Roll the flesh of the biceps forwards. Arch the back. And then as you exhale. So Letty is really flexible in her back, so don't be concerned if yours doesn't look anything like this, that's fine. I'm pretty sure mine wouldn't look like this either. But just soften through your mouth. Slide yourself forwards and down. Good. So like a snake, lead with the head, not with the chin. Inhale, reach up all the way. Breathe into the back body. Feel that you're trying to bring your chest perpendicular with the mouth. Move too deep. And you should just feel a little bit of a stretch, or maybe a big stretch, depending on the flexibility of your right shoulder in the front of the shoulder. Good, come through the center. Release all the way. Press into your hands. Inhale, lift back up into cobra. This time, drop down onto your left shoulder, left ear. And then lift the right leg, bring it over to the left side just to stabilize, and then stretch into the side. So you can see on this side, the shoulder is down on the mat and the elbow lifts directly up. So you should feel a stretch just here on the front of the shoulder. Come back by the center. If it's not, then maybe the left arm comes back and you interlace the fingers. Take a breath, and then if this feels like enough, then you stay here. Try to see these not as steps, as in like I need to kind of challenge myself to get every single step and force myself, but instead, in a really compassionate way, is this genuinely enough? What feels good? Not what do I want to feel good, what does feel good? Eventually the final step would be to also bend the right leg, bring the right foot to the mat, and bring both knees up. So this would be the deepest variation of this stretch. And essentially, whether you're a beginner or advanced, you should feel the same stretch. You just need to do different things to get to it. So everyone should be working at the same effort, like 75 to 80%. No one should be either completely hanging out, not feeling anything, and no one should be working at 110%. Some of us just need to go to a different range in order to find that same stretch. And that's fine, wherever that is. Bring yourself out slowly, the same way that you came in. And then come back onto your belly, kind of recalibrate. And then press into your hands and we'll meet in downward facing dog. And if you're just practicing part one of this 3-part tutorial today, then maybe that's enough. Maybe you want to stop there.